So I find myself with a bit of an issue where I need to convert a whole series of strings into a coded area. So here's my problem. I have all of these states, but I have them in red, which means they're string observations. And in order to use my xt set, here's my problem, right? String variables are not allowed in the variable list. And so I can't use this string variable. It's not helping me. Where is it? There it is. I need to turn these strings into numbers. There's a couple of different ways to do this, but the easiest for me is to create a bit of a cheat using Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to come in here and highlight the ones that I need. I have 54 because I've got a couple of other observations in there like Guam and the Virgin Islands. And I'm just going to copy this and take it over to Excel. So here's Excel, and I'm going to paste it, and here are all my states. Okay, so here's a bit of a cheat I like to do, and we're going to use a concatenate. We're going to use the concatenate function, which I'll get to in just a second. But before that, I need to turn around and create the numbers for these. So this is going to be state 1, this is going to be state 2, this is going to be state 3, and so on. There's another little cheat. I can go down to this bottom corner here and double it up, and that goes there. And then we're going to need this in a second. I'm going to use the quotation because it's going to be pretty tough. I'm going to just highlight all these. Whoops. I'm going to highlight all these and just center them so that they're a little bit easier to handle. And I'm going to put the quotation on all of these. And this will make sense in just a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to concatenate and create this string. Concatenate means to put things together. In this case, we're going to put things together that are different and in different places. And in concatenation, we actually can create a string inside of a string, so to speak. So I'm going to replace my variable. In my case, that's state ID. And note that what I'm typing is actual stata code, not just some random sentence. Replace state ID with single deal, and then there's a space here. Whoops. There's a space after the equal sign because that's going to make my code work a little better. So this string that I'm going to replace for every line, and then follow it up with the number that I'm going to use. And then after the number, I need another space. Well, actually, I'll show you the error first, and then we'll go back and fix it. Replace state ID with equals number if my variable, state ABBR, or state abbreviation, state ABBR, is equal to, or in this case, tests the same as, and here's my problem. If I put a quote here, it's going to close that string, but I actually need an actual quote here because I need to identify it as a string variable. So I'm going to close this string, and I'm going to bring in a quote, and then I'm going to open it up again and bring in the state, and then I'm going to go to the next little piece of data, and I'm going to bring in the quote again, and I think that's it. If state equals to replace with the number. I think that's right. So now I hit enter, and here's my line of code. But there's a problem. You see this state equals to 1 if, and there's no space in there. So I've got to go back and figure out where I need that space. And right here I need that space before the if. And if I do that, now I have a line of code that reads pretty similar to what I want. Replace state ID with 1 if state abbreviation is equal to AK. And here's the beauty. If I do a control down, it's going to perfectly identify the 2 with AL or Alabama, the 3 with Arkansas, the 4 with Arizona, and so on. And here's my code. And that's just beautiful. The final little piece of this trick is that this, if you copy and paste it, will bring you this piece of code. Okay, but I don't want that. I want the actual text. So I'm going to copy my entire block, and when I repaste it into the next line, I'm going to use this values, or the 1, 2, 3, and that gives me the actual text, not the code. See, on this line it says concatenate at the top, and if I go to the next one, having replaced the text, I get the actual text. Now I can highlight this entire piece of code, copy the whole thing, and bring in my do file. And there is my entire piece of stata code. It's almost too easy. And so now, let me get this stuff out of the way so we can see the magic. Let's see the magic work here. guess you can't see it from there. And then just run the entire piece of code one time. Boom. State ID has been created with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. And look, I go to the next year, and I've got 54, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're all done. They're all done, all the way down to the entire code. It's a nice little piece of code to have. It's a nice little piece of code to save. Hope you enjoyed it. If you look at the actual code down here, it shows you that it replacements one for each and every time. The only last little piece of note is that in order to run this code, I first created an empty variable. I created the variable and made it empty so that I could just replace. All right. Hope that helps. Good luck. See you next time.